Something that doesn't get mentioned a lot is how expensive the Bakugan game actually is. When you look at the most expensive cards in the games, that being Super Fuel and Pact of Darkus, and then compare them with the most expensive cards of other games, we tend to be like, it's not that bad. But what we forget about are the actual Bakugan themselves. What's one of the best Ventus Bakugan in the game? Ventus Dragonoid Core. That's a part of a $25 3-pack. Best Chaos Bakugan? Chaos Trox Ultra, $25. Best Darkus Bakugan? Darkus Ramparian Ultra, $40. Best Pyrus Bakugan? Ultima Dragonoid, $80. So if you want the best Pyrus, Darkus, and Ventus team, that's $145 Canadian just for those 3 Bakugan. And then you gotta build a 40 card deck on top of that. Let's be real. For a lot of people, Bakugan doesn't have the LGS support to warrant spending that much money on a deck. Yeah, buying a starter deck with 40 cards comes with a team of Bakugan, but let's be real, those Bakugan tend to not be good and or don't work well together, and you never get playsets of any of the cards. What are you gonna do? Buy 3 copies of the same starter deck so you can have playsets? This isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! Where 3 starter decks makes you a competent $30 deck. You're looking at 120 Canadian big ones for a mediocre deck and a bunch of extra Bakugan toys you don't need. So ditch the starter decks and buy the singles and back cores you want from TCG Player, Facebook groups, or Discord. Now about the Bakugan. They are gonna be the foundation of your deck, so even if you don't have the best of the best cards or even Baku cores, having a good team lineup will mean you have a strong base to work with. Now, there's no multi-packs available at this time that gives you multiple strong Bakugan to use in the same team. So for this budget team, we are going to ignore multi-packs since they are expensive. Single packs are the cheapest Bakugan products out there, so we are going to look for strong Bakugan released in single packs that can also work well with pretty much any card pool you're able to get for it. First off, if you know a bit about Bakugan Pro, then you may know that Aquos Hydrus is arguably one of the best Bakugan in the game. Luckily for us brawlers, it's also a main character's main Bakugan, so they're going to make sure it's available as much as possible. That means it got released in a single pack. The single pack doesn't really come with any good cores, so you're out of luck there, but this Bakugan is so good that it doesn't matter. What makes Aquos Hydrus core so strong is that when it lands on a Helix core, it gets a bonus of 500 B power and 5 damage. The best Helix core you want for this Bakugan is the plus 600 minus 3 Helix core, which will let this Bakugan reach a massive 1506 stat line. The best thing about Aquos Hydrus core is that it allows you to use the Aquos card pool. This is great because Aquos has a lot of low rarity and in turn, affordable cards that are actually pretty good. The Aquos card pool is so good that you could even just have a deck full of Aquos cards if you wanted to. It has everything: rerolls, negates, B power, and draw power. The only thing it lacks on is damage boosting, which it isn't even known for in the first place, and flips. But to be fair, the best flips are on the more pricey side, so if you're on a super tight budget, you're probably using the low rarity stop all cards anyways. Now for Ventus, you actually have 2 options: Ventus Ramparian Ultra and Ventus Nilius Ultra. These 2 Bakugan have the same B power, but Ventus Ramparian Ultra does beat Ventus Nilius Ultra in damage. If you can, go for Ventus Ramparian Ultra. However, Ventus Ramparian Ultra is harder to find in some places and is more expensive because it is a gear single Bakugan, while Ventus Nilius Ultra is a cheaper option that is more accessible. At the end of the day, you're probably going to be focusing on B power anyways, so the best core to use for these Bakugan are the plus 650 Magic Shield cores, which is the best B power boosting core in the game and gets these Bakugan up to a strong 1450 B power. Ventus Nilius Ultra also has the added bonus of having the plus 650 Magic Shield core included with it. When it comes to cards, unfortunately the best Ventus cards, that being Nature's Power, is a high rarity card. However, it has since gotten a reprint as a promo for the faction bundles, so it's getting more accessible. For Darkus, your best budget option is Darkus Enoch Ultra. Unfortunately, it only comes in a gear single, so it is a bit more expensive. However, it does come in diamond gear form, which is a collector's item, and the non-diamond form comes with the Green Fist and Magic Shield gear reduction cores, which are pretty good. Darkus Enoch is a Bakugan where there is a bit of sacrifice of going with the budget option. With the stat line of 704, it does have 100 B power less than Darkus Ramparian Ultra. However, the 1350 B power when on the plus 650 Magic Shield core that Enoch has is still high enough to be competitive. For cards, Darkus has the best flip card, that being Pact of Darkus, but it is an expensive card. And while the best Darkus cards, that being Sync, are lower in rarity, because the set they're in is so limited, that may affect the prices you find it. And now for Pyrus. Your budget option for Pyrus is Pyrus Dragonoid Ultra. This was actually one of the best Pyrus Bakugan before Ultima came out. The best core for Pyrus Dragonoid Ultra is the faction-specific plus 400 shield core, which gets Pyrus Dragonoid Ultra to a respectable 1300 B power. However, if you can find it, Pyrus Nobilius Ultra from Battle Planet is good with its 1350 B power. However, that Bakugan is old and not in stores anymore, so you'll probably find it for a higher price. Plus, Pyrus Dragonoid Ultra's base 900 B power before any boosts make it more flexible if there's an option to have it roll on a shared Magic Shield core and have it hit that 1550 B power. And another Pyrus option is actually a fusion Bakugan, Dragonoid Treacherous. In base form, it's nothing special. However, what makes this Bakugan one of the best fusion Bakugan is that it fuses for only 3 energy, and its fused form is actually pretty strong with a 1005 stat line. The single pack also includes a plus 8 fusion specific Fire Fist and a plus 800 fusion specific Magic Shield, which can get Drago Tret to some pretty high numbers. Though I would be careful, since if you accidentally roll onto those cores with a non-fused Bakugan, then it doesn't give you the boosts. So it's usually recommended to not use those cores, and instead just use the plus 6 Fire Fist and the plus 650 Magic Shield. But even then, with how strong the fused form is, the stats on those will still be great. The downside to this Bakugan is that you need to spend energy to get it good, which is a downside because there's Bakugan out there with similar strength right out of the gate, which in turn can use that 3 energy you would have used to fuse to instead use it to boost their stats even further with action cards. For cards, the best Pyrus cards have to do with damage, and unfortunately there isn't really a budget high damage Bakugan available to take advantage of that. However, Pyrus does have Quickfire, which is a great card and also is a low rarity card as well. And so those are the budget friendly options for Bakugan Pro. In terms of money, the absolute cheapest team from this would be Aquos Hydrus Core, Ventus Nilius Ultra, and the Drago Tret Fusion. Though for best results, I personally would make sure to have Aquos Hydrus Core and Darkus Enoch Ultra on the team, and then choose a Pyrus or Ventus option for the third Bakugan, because right now, Aquos and Darkus are like peanut butter and jelly. They're really good together. However, if you do have the money to cover the difference, and have the availability to all Bakugan mentioned, the team I personally would go with from this lot would be Aquos Hydrus Core, Ventus Ramparian Ultra, and Darkus Enoch Ultra, which is a great team because really the only Bakugan you would need to replace is Darkus Enoch Ultra for Darkus Ramparian Ultra. You could also replace Ventus Ramparian Ultra with Ventus Dragonoid Core later on, but in my opinion, there's positives and negatives for using either Bakugan, so it isn't a deal breaker using one or the other. So those are some budget-friendly competitive Bakugan I recommend. What do you think? Do you have any budget recommendations? Let me know in the comment section below and hit the like button. Or don't, I'm not the boss of you. But be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get updated whenever I upload. Until next time, see ya!